Okay, we're recording. It's amazing what we learn every day. How to do. Okay. So attendance. Neil Merritt is here. Elizabeth, yes. David Condry is on vacation, so he had told me a while ago he wouldn't make it. Tom Holder, yes. Dave Massiarelli, not yet, okay. Jim Starbart, I see. Sean, yeah. Blake Lucas, not yet, okay. Rebecca McDermott, yeah. Marcus Kemp had a conflicting appointment, so he will not join us. Ariella Lovett. Hi.
I'm here. Hi.
Hi. Jen Peterson, yes. Kirsten King, yes. And from DEP, Yvette and me. Okay, we have any guests? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Very good. All right, Neil, I'll turn it back over. Oh, Yvette, did you hear from Nicole?
I could not reach her, but I left messages on her cell and stuff like that. So hopefully
Okay.
Everything's okay.
Okay, hope so. Okay. Neil, we'll go back to you to continue on the agenda, which is review draft minutes from the December 2020 meeting, please.
All right, thank you, Kathy. That is the next topic, is the review of the draft minutes. Does anybody have any comments? Okay, neither do I. Next on the agenda is the assessment program updates.
Neil, could
Yes.
you take a vote to approve those
Oh, I'm
minutes?
sorry.
That's okay.
Could I have a vote to approve the minutes of December 2020?
Yes.
All
It
those
looks
in
like
favor?
Elizabeth. Sorry.
Saying yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, who seconded that?
I thought Elizabeth did.
I must have.
Okay, and who made the motion? Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, assessment program updates. Here's what I have. I wanted to report that, as usual, I'm answering some billing calls and emails. We don't get too many of them, but this year there's been an uptick. And interestingly, not because of the rate increase, but because of slow mail deliveries, getting people's checks to us. There's the option of paying online now, but most people, I think, send in checks still. So I've been getting a lot of calls or emails because people aren't seeing their checks clearing. So they're calling to say, hey, did you guys get my check? I want to make sure it's not lost. So I want to give a shout out to Frank Lusso in our revenue unit, who has been working behind the scenes for the committee for like literally decades. Because a lot of these calls or emails I forward to Fran because she's the one with the access to customer accounts. So she gets back to people in most cases the same day, letting them know that, yes, we have received checks. They were delivered to us later than usual. So everything's good. So in all cases that has been the case. No checks were lost, just late deliveries. Any questions on that? All right, I see that Blake has arrived, so I'm going to cross off Blake as being in attendance. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize for my tardiness.
Right, we were just going over assessment program updates. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the rate letter that goes out before November 1st every year. I'm sorry, it goes out before October 1st every year. And this year, I wanted to see if the committee was on board with sending out the rate letter by email again, like we did in 2020. That seemed to go well. We did not have email addresses for about 105 systems, but the annual statistical report will be bringing us a lot more email addresses for contacts when all the data comes in by April. So I think we're in a good position to use email. We had sent out the hard copies to those 105 systems we didn't have emails for. And I want to say that we got 3 requests for hard copies. We had offered people the opportunity in the email to request a hard copy. We had 3 requests, and that's about in line with what I usually get. We always get 2 or 3 requests for a hard copy because, say, a water system gets the bill, they forward it to a town accountant. The town accountant wants to see what that bill is for and doesn't necessarily get forwarded the letter, the rate letter that goes out. So I'm always sending out after the fact a few hard copies or even by email from people who need another copy. So could we discuss whether you're on board with sending out the rate letter electronically again?
It's fine with me. Sounds like a good idea.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right, thank you. That's good. Those were all of my updates. Did anybody have any questions? Okay. Neil, the next item is review and comment on the draft annual report to the legislature. I did get Jen's comments, which I think you all did as well, and I incorporated those comments, and I'll add a photo or 2 into the report as well.
So do we have any comments on the draft annual report to the legislature? Okay. Guess that brings us to the drinking water program updates.
Well, wait, let's at least thank the folks for putting this together. We have no comments because it's really great. I know Jen added to it, but thank you for putting it together and the rest of the staff for doing it too.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I would
I'll
agree.
pass that along too.
It's been getting better and better each year. It's great.
Gets shorter too. It used to be about 30 pages, so I
but you
think
cover a
it's
lot. You've got a
something
lot in
more
it now.
readable.
Okay, shall we go on to drinking water program updates? Yvette?
Yes, good morning, everybody. I had planned not to be flustered this morning, and then, we get here and I'm not able to get onto the system the way we had planned it. But good morning, everyone. I hope that everyone is doing well and that their loved ones are also doing well. As you can tell, we are still working remotely, and we will continue to do so until June 1st, I believe is the date we were given. And even at that point, they're currently working on what the protocols will be when we go back in. We know that some of us will probably will continue to work remotely. We know that there's work to be done on the physical space, and they're working on procedures for how we will use the physical space. There are things related to ventilation. And so there are lots of moving parts, but I do know that some of us will not, or some of us will continue to do remote work. I want to really thank our water suppliers for just doing an awesome job during the last year in this whole pandemic space. But I also want to particularly mention the drinking water program staff that I've been working with. We work hard, but what I have seen out of them in the last year, I don't even know how I can describe what they've been doing. It's been an amazing job where we are working remotely. Some of us still do not have the official state laptop, so we're managing to work with systems that are pretty old and archaic, but they're making it work. And I just want you to know that we appreciate it greatly when we hear some of the few that have complimented us on what we've been doing, but I wanted to just take this opportunity to just let you know they're doing everything possible to keep this going. I could remark on a ton of things, but I'm just going to pick out a few and then leave it for you to ask me questions on, whatever you want to hear about. Obviously, we've kept up with all of our COVID-related pieces that we've put into the program. For example, we're still doing a clearinghouse using the program director's email address to receive all questions, and we're also using that email address to receive reports and things that would normally go hard copy into the region. Again, it's based on if a water supplier wants to use that tool, it's available. That's something that will probably continue, for some time, because we have found it to be a good way for us, well, at least for me as the director, to track that we are responsive to all of the questions and information that's coming into us, and making sure that as staff work remotely and they're on sick time or vacation, that someone is responsible for taking up that work. The things that from last year that I particularly want to remark on is one, sanitary survey work. We were able to meet our federal commitment. I created new remote tools. We created a self-audit process for TNCs where we engage with RCAP and Rural Water to assist us and the water suppliers as they're going through that process. But at the end of the day, we were able to complete our sanitary survey commitment. Going forward into this year, we plan to use the same tools and to meet our commitment again. So EPA is very happy about that. We've also were able to have the regular interaction with the Commissioner's Office and Mass Waterworks doing the COVID forum. We continue to do that, and to have generated, more than 200 answers that are posted on our webpage. We will continue to do that until it's no longer necessary. We actually did our first similar engagement with Mass Waterworks and the Commissioner on Pfas to answer questions on that. We have lots of questions and answers now on our webpage. One of the things we're going to do is to compile a document of all the questions and answers so that water suppliers can either go to questions from the forum or they can go into the compilation and find all of the things that we've answered so far. So that's some ongoing work. PFAS, obviously, you know that we have started that program. The The larger systems have done the initial testing. We're gearing up for the April 1st next wave of systems coming into the program. We have 105 community systems in the second wave, April 1st. And then the third wave would be October 1st with 567. And obviously TNCs have until September 2022, but we're encouraging them to come in early because the free sampling funds are supposed to go away at the ending of June. So we're really trying to get everybody in early. We have 5 labs that are on contract with us for the free sampling. Not all of them are currently engaged, but we know that we're going to need to, have them all ready for the April 1st. It's the labs, the ones that are not fully engaged right now. It's work that they're doing. It's not on our part. We are ready to receive them. We have set up through our ISA with UMass staff that are doing data entry and QA/QC and helping us to make this stuff work. I know we were waiting for EDP to be updated to receive Pfas data. That date for when we will start that has been slipping. So to address that need, we are going to bring on an additional 2 to 3 FTEs at the UMass location and when I say location, they're working remotely, but they'll be through the UMass ISA to assist us to get all of the data entry done and to do the QA/QC much quicker. And on the QA/QC, it took us a moment to review and to fine-tune our QA/QC process. It was very, very intricate at the beginning where it took, you had to be sitting there reading the manual as you're going through each report. We've now trained up a number of staff using the ISA who are doing this regularly. And the folks that we will bring on will be trained in the model of how to do it. We've determined different levels of review depending on how the data comes into us. So we are going to backstop whatever our needs are because the EDP process have slipped. I'm seeing a question from Rebecca asking if there will be free sampling for those that begin in October. The free sampling ends June 30th, but we are working very hard to see if that funding source can be extended. And we are letting water suppliers know now, try to come in early, not try to, come in early so that you can benefit from the free sampling. With everything in state work, we are pushing really hard to try to get that funding extended, but it's a work in progress. On PFAS, I just want you to know that we received 6 positions that are going to help us with the bulging in the work related to PFAS. 1 in each region, 1 in the Office of Research and Standards, and 1 in the drinking water program. So right now we are interviewing for EE3 to join Drinking Water Boston to work on PFAS and other safe drinking water act programs as time permits. The regions are doing the same with the hiring. So we're really trying to gear ourselves up for that. I could talk endlessly about PFAS, but I want to mention a couple of other priorities that we are working on. Obviously, everyone have seen the incident in Oldsmar, Florida with cybersecurity. So we are pushing out on that. And I want to say I am just so impressed with all of the trainers and training tools that are coming into the workforce right now. So what we are doing is that we have some training plans of our own. One with a training with New England Water Works for excuse me 1 second, let me turn this off. Sorry about that. We have training, both the ones that we're doing, but we also have working with EPA Region 1 on for a forum that will be New England Water Work, New England statewide. We've also started to do size information tips for our water suppliers, because one of the comments we heard very clearly is that there's sufficient information out there on cybersecurity, but it's a lot and it's acronym heavy, and water suppliers right now are struggling with everything that's coming at them. So we are working to break down the information into smaller pieces, more posters, more attractive formats. And the first wave of that went out on Wednesday, and it will be highlighted in the next week's P-Director with a link to what was sent directly to water suppliers. We're also going to be writing up a proposal that we would try to engage both the Clean Water Trust, but also within MassDEP for any available funds to set up a technical assistant assessment grant program. And the concept is that we would find contractor resources that would go one-on-one to water systems just to help them. This is not anything that we personally in the program would be engaged in. This would be someone or someone's coming to a water system and helping them to figure out where they are and what they need to do. And in no way would this be something that we ourselves would be engaged in. We just want to make sure that we provide that kind of one-on-one assistance. EPA is doing something similar, but they will only cover a certain number. Once their program is up and running, we are hoping that we can set something up to cover some more, and eventually through all of our resources, everyone will get some type of, who needs it will get some type of one-on-one assistance available to them. So that's our cybersecurity piece. Another area we are pushing out on is environmental justice. So as we set up our programs, review our programs, we have to look at, are we reaching everyone? Are we making sure that we are translating our information into appropriate languages? It's every aspect of our program we're doing that. So that's something you'll be seeing more on. It's particularly a part of what we will do to attract more certified operators into the field, or more potential certified operators into the field. So you'll see that. I guess I could continue on, but at this point, I want to stop and ask if there are any questions or if there are any program areas you want me to specifically mention.
Yvette, with the LCR delay, how does that impact your timeline for what you were planning for LCR revisions?
Excellent. Question. On the LCR, it doesn't impact our timeline, but what it does is probably makes it harder to do what we must do, which is to educate our water suppliers on getting ready and getting ready early, especially as it relates to the material inventory, identification of lead service lines, making that information transparent to consumers, putting plans in place if you are currently, if you're currently over 10, 10 ppbs for the action level. If you are exceeding the action level, it may force some water suppliers to delay their planning. So that's where that is. On our side, we're actually pushing out even harder because we do have $30 million of subsidy in the SRF program to use for lead abatement projects. So we actually have plans for a webinar, and it'll be with a more attractive twist. It'll be more like pre-taped pieces, having all of the presenters there, giving folks the opportunity to ask questions. So that's in planning phase for probably next month. I have some information on that I will share with everyone later. The other piece is that the SRF part of the program is working with us, and they are offering one-on-one technical assistance to water suppliers to get them engaged in accessing the subsidy program for Get the Lead Out. So Maria Pinot is available. We've sent out emails on it. We're now about to send out postcards because we're hearing from everyone, too much information, too dense. We want something that, hits us with a pow. So we're looking for more color and, bigger fonts and stuff like that. So we have a postcard coming out, and we're really trying to get water suppliers to start talking to us and engage and get into the SRF process, because it will pay for the planning for the things they need to do to be ready for the LCRR. I need to mention we are prepared. We are working with ASWA. We are thinking about how the regs, if they look similar, how we're going to draft them and have them ready. When we do the regs for LCRR, we are going to look at all the other areas that we need to fix within our regulations, because putting in the LCR is a big job, so we might as well see what else we can do in that process. So any other questions on LCRR?
I actually had a comment when you're talking about putting more onto the LCR. Is there any thought to putting a regulation making property owners responsible to remove lead lines like we have a regulation like for lead paint? Because right now it seems like it's always on the water system, but the actual possession of the water line from the street line to the house is property of the homeowner or the property owner. So is there any thought of, modeling what we already do with lead paint with lead service lines or anything like?
Well, it's not something that we can put in our regs, but there are several bills that have been working their way through the process that has that type of information in it, and we have been supportive. I also think that the pause on the federal level may come back with some information in that area. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but grassroots commenting is saying that the pause has a lot to do with consumers and how they're going to be better protected. So yes, that issue is out there. We are supportive of it. It's not something we can put in our regs, but definitely the general laws, if they were to include it, we would be all over it. And I know Jen probably knows more about the bills that have been making their way through that has that kind of language. I also know that a couple of communities have done something in that area, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
local.
the bills, I don't know that I've seen one go so far as lead service line replacement. I think for the schools, definitely. There is that bill out there that would require them to replace the service lines within X amount of time. But on the residential side, we just filed a disclosure so that if you're selling your property, you have to disclose whether or not you have one so that the potential buyer can be aware.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of crazy that we will declare a building lead-free under the childhood lead prevention law or DPH, but that doesn't include any look at the, water lines coming in. It's basically just lead. And, the real culprit really could be the lead line. And the lead paint's taken care of, but the line itself, could still be a problem, if you will.
Okay. Neil, did I see you with a question?
I have a couple real basic questions, not related to lead and copper. The CCR twice a year, when is that going to be implemented?
I have not seen anything recently from EPA. I know that they're working on it, but I haven't seen anything recently. I think because of the new administration coming in, all of the tools and plans that they have now have to go through another review. But I will check with Jane Downing on that, but I haven't seen anything recently.
Okay.
And something else that's been happening is that we don't hear anything and then a document drops. So it's almost like even Region 1 is not aware that something is coming, and then it's like, oh, it just came today, press release. So
I did have an email with Jane in January about that, and she said that there wasn't anything currently pending, that people should continue to do what they are doing.
That's what I figured. And one other real short question, sample schedules. Will we be seeing revised sample schedules soon?
the answer is yes. And we've been working on waivers and things of that nature, but because Pfas is coming at the same time, in order to combine the Pfas sample schedule with regular sample schedule, things are in a bit of the flux delay because we're trying to get it all at once and not do it twice. So yes, but if you have specific questions, call the region, they'll drop you an email, they'll probably pull that one out of sequence. But we're really trying with our limited resources to not do things twice. So we're trying to get the PFAS in there, and yes. So short answer is you will start seeing it trickle out, but there's a bit of a work in progress step there.
And I have one more. I'm going to ask the lab, but I'm just curious, what's the basic turnaround time on PFAS results?
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to bring that up as well, Neil, because Yvette, you had mentioned that sort of the ones that are engaged in the free sampling, not all of them are fully ready yet. And I'm hearing people where the results are pushing out a month or so. People have been having to follow up with the one lab in particular that the sample seems to be lost even within the lab. And so I am concerned about lab capacity as we move into April. And I don't know what more you all can do to kind of make sure that those ones are ready, because I think we're going to get into some compliance issues if the labs can't handle the capacity.
So we've received the questions, and there are a couple of things that we're doing. We're actually reaching out to the labs to find out what they're saying their timelines are and what are the issues that they think that we can help them with. And then we're also reaching out to water suppliers to let them know what we found out. So those are two things that are in the works right now. We new rule rollout are always a bit messy, and particularly so because we thought we would have EDP ready. We don't have it ready. We're pushing back. The QA/QC process, we're fine-tuning it as labs better understand how to do it. So it's taken us a moment. What I will say, though, is as with all new rules, we plan to do forbearance on enforcement for failure to monitor. And we plan to work with both the water suppliers and labs to educate and to get everyone ready. Normally, when we do forbearance on enforcement for failure to monitor, we either say we're doing it for one compliance period, or we're doing it for 6 months, or we're doing it for the first year. At this point, I am not sure how we are going to say it or do it, but from where I sit, I want to make sure that systems totally understand what we're saying to them, because it is a lot to understand before we say, yes, you've gotten it, we've given you everything that you need. Now, if you do this again, here's the issue. Here's what happens. So I think we are going to be as flexible as possible. We're going to do as much TA as possible, because this is a very, very intricate rule. So look for that. I mean, we want to work with you. We want water suppliers to work with us, and we are working with labs. And it's, sometimes you think you finally have them where they are, and then something pops off the next time, and you got to go back in there with the training. But we know that 6 months out, 9 months out, we should be there. We could talk about PFAS all day. In fact, 80% of my life is PFAS. But lots of other things are happening. We are doing the primacy, we're doing the reg corrections to the RTCR for the few primacy corrections that EPA gave us. We're working on that starting next week to draft that up. There were some typos, there were some missing citations, there were words missing that EPA felt were critical that we get them in there before they can issue full primacy. So we'll do that, and in that package, we will also include the third PFAS analytical method. We will also include the opportunity for various social media notification procedures. So that kind of brings our PN and PE tools for informing the public up to today's standard. And that helps with PFAS notices as well. We are also going to fix an issue that was handled by internal procedures before with the wastewater discharge permit. The wastewater program has a list of de minimis amounts that are waived from needing a permit. And it did not include public water suppliers doing sampling where they have to purge water over an MCL in order to collect the sample. We've always handled that by an internal policy and said it was not an issue. it's 2021, new lawyers, they said, no, you got to go and make sure it says that in the wastewater reg. So in our RTCR package, we will make sure that that waiver is very clear in the wastewater regs. So that takes care of a question or questions that have come in on if you take a well offline because it's over PFAS, can you sample, and in doing that sample, purge 5 well volumes onto the ground. So we have a forbearance from enforcement right now, and we're going to have the reg change put into this tiny package of corrections. The other thing we're adding in is we want in ER section, there's examples of incidents and activities where you need to include information in your ER plans. We want to specifically mention cybersecurity as an example of one of the things that are part of your ER plan. And this is in keeping with just what's going on right now and also a WEA focus. So that's on regs. And I could go on, but is there any other thing?
Could I ask a question on the regs? So we know we as Mass Water Works have a little bit of work to do on the staffing regs, but you know, you had mentioned that those would be applicable when LCR goes out. Is there any chance of getting that included in this package so that we don't have to wait 2 more years for that? Seems like you're putting a lot more than just RTCR into this reg package.
No, they can't go into this one. In fact, the correction on the wastewater side is a PFAS related one. So we're keeping it to corrections that are specific to RTCR and PFAS. And that one word, or is it 2 words, cybersecurity, that goes into the ER section. Because right now, it's implied that cybersecurity is a part of ER, but we think putting the words in would be more helpful to water supply. So since we're going in there, we can do that, no heavy lift. Anything that opens up the package for much more work, we can't do it at this point. And on the certified operators piece, there's work. Once we get back the comments from you, Jen, and that work group, there's work for DEP staff to work with that. So that, gives it a timeline that can't fit with what we're doing right now to make those corrections in PFAS regs. So I actually had a 10-page document that I'm kind of like jumping through. So I think just knowing that we are available to be as helpful as we can. We're using the P director to just share as much information as we can. And I think it's working. So if there's anything else that we haven't done, need to do, you should definitely let us know. Maybe Kathy could talk about how we're trying to change our training module if you want to hear about that. But we're trying to be maximum transparency. And I want to thank you for the time, and feel free to call me at any time. Actually, you can't call me, email me, and I'll call you back.
Yvette, I had asked Damon what the compliance statistics were for 2020, because obviously with the pandemic, people were challenged, and he provided me with some of the EPA stats, which I think were very good. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I'd love to see DEP do some more, public messaging around the fact, Damon's information that he provided January 2020, January 2021, covering 2020 Q4 was that 95.3% of community public water systems met all applicable health-based standards. I think that's good news, and I really would love to see the department kind of put some press out around our public water systems and the excellent compliance that they have maintained during the pandemic.
I think that's a great idea, and if it's reflected in the minutes, I will pass it forward, and I encourage each and every one of you to let the second floor know that that's something you would like to see.
Thank you. Kathy, do you know your hand is raised?
I do not. I don't even know how to do that, so sorry. Let's see.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a question.
Thank you. You know why I can't see it? Because I've got a little icon how to switch to active speaker, or you know how the blocks show up, and it looks like it's covering the hand. So thank you, Jen.
So thank you, Neil. I don't have anything else that I particularly want to say, except, you know, always let me know what your needs are, and I can talk about what we're doing. And
Okay,
what
Yvette. Well, thank you. There's a lot going on. Kathy, was there anything you wanted to add to Yvette's presentation?
No, I think Yvette hit the highlights. We're sure busy with a lot of things and managing to do a lot of trainings and partner up with groups like RCAP and Mass Waterworks and others, New England Waterworks, to get our trainings out there online, and I think it's going well.
I would agree. There's a lot going on. So does anybody have any other questions? Okay, I guess we're all set. Yvette, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda are public comments. Any public comments?
Sorry, did we miss the annual report?
I believe we did that while you were,
Oh, well, my computer
Fine.
crashed. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I just said that I incorporated all of your comments, which I think everybody saw.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So there weren't any other comments, so we will package it up and send it along to the commissioner and get it moving on.
Great. Sorry about that. Thank you.
No, it's okay. Thank you. No public comments. If there isn't any other business anyone wants to bring up, the next item is to adjourn. And your next meeting is on June 18th. Summertime, that sounds good to me.
Do you envision continuing to hold these virtually? I think this is working well.
I would like to, yes,
I
unless
think it
anybody has an objection to it. I think it's going pretty
No,
well.
I think it works well as well.
Saves a lot of driving around.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I agree. I think because of the in-person location and, you know, requires driving for a lot of people.
I think it's a fine location, but
Is that there where you are or where you
I
live?
live a mile away from New England Waterworks. So.
Gotcha.
So you can still go and participate in Kirsten's office, and we'll Zoom with you from afar.
All right, I guess we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn? Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
All righty.
Good seeing
you.
everyone.
Have a good one. Take care.
Bye. Thank
Stay
you.
healthy.
Bye.